Tokyo, Shinjuku Station, the world's busiest, with over 3 million passengers flocking to the tracks here on a daily basis. This calls for maximum precision from the entire staff.
Let's synchronize our watches.
This is a station that never sleeps, be it day or night. Every hour is rush hour here.
We have only 3 hours. We have to work high speed.
The logistics behind this vast station require minute-by-minute precision and constant control in absolutely every situation.
Here we detect everything, 24 hours a day.
5 separate train lines, almost 3,000 passengers per minute, trains arriving every second. We'll find out just how the teams at the world's busiest station overcome these challenges, now on Giant Hubs. With 36 million inhabitants, Tokyo is the largest city in the world. Around 25% of them live right in the heart of the city. On top of that, there are 11 million commuters, visitors, and tourists. Coordinating this mass of people is a daily challenge. Japan is home to 24,000 kilometers of railway tracks. A third of these are located in Tokyo alone. Most of the tracks lead to one specific place, Shinjuku Station. It gets its name from the district where it is located. The station stretches through the neighborhood and is 1 kilometer long, right in the heart of Tokyo. The Giant Hub is a complex network of various train, subway, and bus lines. Shinjuku Station is built over 5 main levels and has 20 platforms in total. These platforms welcome trains from 5 different railway companies, all at the same time. On top of that, 3 subway lines link Shinjuku Station to Tokyo's public transport system. Its bus terminal handles 1,600 nationwide long-distance lines. Shinjuku Station is a city within the city, including stores, offices, and places to eat. It's early in the morning. The Giant Hub's 200 doors gradually open between the hours of 4:15 and 7 a.m. Commuters, passengers to the airport, and revelers heading home for the night are already waiting for the first train at 4:30 in the morning. Then, at 5:10, the door to the station's busiest platforms starts to rise. This signals the start of the morning rush hour, and it won't stop until much later tonight. More and more passengers stream into Shinjuku. As the doors start to open, so too do the stores inside the station's entrance. Cafes, kiosks, small breakfast bars. They're all preparing for the oncoming rush. Just like every other day, today they're expecting 3.6 million train travelers. That's roughly equivalent to the population of Los Angeles. It's time to go. Now, an average of over 200,000 people an hour will make their way through the kilometers of walkways between the bus station, subway lines, and train platforms. The halls and walkways of the world's busiest train station remain packed from now until nightfall. Getting from one end of the station to the other takes 45 minutes by foot, and that's the most direct route. 7:24 a.m. The morning rush requires a logistics process that is perfectly in sync and practically invisible to the passengers. Like Satoshi Kuwana, for instance. He heads to the giant hub of Shinjuku Station at this time almost every day.
The station is very big and important for me and a lot of people. I have to use it every day. And it is my favorite station in Tokyo.
Satoshi Kuwana has come to appreciate all the amenities that Shinjuku Station has to offer. And that's despite the fact that the station is in the midst of full chaos at the moment. His first destination is the locker area, which is freely accessible to all passengers. Satoshi Kuwana tucks his backpack away into one of the many lockers. These lockers aren't just a saving grace for tourists laden with luggage. They're crucial for locals, too. And that's no surprise. On average, Japanese employees work almost 4 hours of overtime a day. And then they have to go to after-work team building events, known as nomikai. The lines between work and free time are blurred. So many Japanese people use the giant hub's centrally located lockers to store their non-work clothes. As it is traditional in Japan, service is given top priority, also at Shinjuku Station. Even in the ticketing system, Satoshi Kuwana holds a ticket that can be topped up at any time.
You can charge this card and travel with it with many lines. For example, the Keio line, the Odakyu line, and all the JR lines. It's very easy. You just need to touch the card at the entrance and you can use every train. Otherwise, it would be very difficult.
A single ticket for every line. As a result, all passengers are able to use the station with ease and without any unnecessary wait times, no matter how complex the railway system is. And there is no shortage of options. The giant hub is used by no less than 5 different railway companies. The largest of them is JR East. Then there are Odakyu, Keio, Tokyo Metro, and Toei Subway. With 16 lines, JR East alone transports 1.5 million passengers a day. That is the equivalent of 80% of all railway traffic in the city. Passengers only have to replace their electronic tickets every 10 years. This is an essential factor when it comes to tackling the huge number of visitors who flock to the world's busiest train station every day. Another key factor is learning from past mistakes. For a long time, never-ending queues at ticket stands and permanently stressed-out staff resulted in a whole lot of chaos. Until a major update in 2012 introduced standardized chip cards for Tokyo's entire public transport network. Although the ticketing system has remained hassle-free since then, passengers at Shinjuku Station still have to conquer one major challenge: finding their way around.
I use this station every day, and that's why I know my way around. But for people who don't know Shinjuku, it can be confusing. In that case, they should be aware of the signs to see which way to take. They show you the direction, for example, to Odakyu or JR.
In the worst-case scenario, a single wrong turn could cost you several kilometers in detours. That's why the signs follow a sophisticated yet complex system. To start with, the main train lines are color-coded. For instance, green stands for the Yamanote line and leads to platforms 14 and 15. Then come the letters and numbers. These point out the routes to the various entrances and exits. In addition to the main southern, eastern, and western entrances, there are dozens of other ways in. It's all pretty confusing to begin with. Getting to the right place in Shinjuku Station is a particularly big problem for tourists and unexperienced visitors. Every day, the station's Twitter account is inundated with complaints from passengers, simply because they were unable to find their platform. The magnitude of the giant hub is quite hard to get your head around. A total of 200 different entrances and exits stretch across a distance of around 1 kilometer. And Shinjuku Station is growing all the time. Architect KEISUKE TAMURA has been analyzing Shinjuku Station for years. He and his university students are monitoring the station's ongoing growth. He has even gone as far as creating his own 3D model for identifying the problems this causes.
First of all, there are many maintenance works all the time. New shops, new routes, and therefore the look of the station is changing, and people get lost. Especially people that usually follow their memory. They get lost because they don't look at the signs.
There is always construction work going on, and it never stops. That's typical for the busiest station in the world, particularly during the period known as the Golden 60s. During this era, the Japanese economy grew at rocket speed, as did its logistical hubs and junctions.
Shinjuku was built on a plain territory, so they were able to build parallel tracks. They started building one platform, and then they added many more. But the train business became bigger, and there was not enough space in Shinjuku area. That's why they started developing the underground tracks, and it went down to 7 floors. This is a major characteristic of Shinjuku Station.
It took decades for Shinjuku to become as important as it is today. When the station opened in 1885, the area was still a quiet residential neighborhood. Expansion took place in stages. The district did not become Tokyo's financial and administrative center until after the Second World War. All of a sudden, the station became the city's most important junction. The most amazing thing? Its facade is almost invisible, despite the station's vast proportions. Completely the opposite of the magnificent stations you find elsewhere. The station practically disappears amongst the surrounding shopping centers. And this is yet another traditional feature of Japanese culture. Functionality and efficiency always come first. Another obstacle to finding your way around. Despite all the modernity, many of the signs are only in Japanese. English isn't particularly widespread in Japan, even now. However, the mega station is working hard to resolve this problem. Information desks may be a common feature at lots of major train stations, but they are crucial in Shinjuku. They are located at each of the main entrances. Additionally, innumerable field workers spread out over the whole station. One of the employees providing assistance minute after minute is KARASAWA. He helps people to get to their destinations, while also breaking up crowds and congestion throughout the station's never-ending rush hour. Lost passengers keep him and his colleagues busy all day long.
When I started working here, I was shocked because so many people were coming to look for help. I was asked many different kinds of questions. That's a big challenge.
Karasawa's job is to let passengers know that the station is there for them. For employees, the huge station's customer-friendly image is more or less sacred.
I always need to be visible like this, so people know they can ask me questions. Also, this sign on my arm. I need to wear it at all times.
On some days, Yoshi Karasawa deals with up to 20 different nationalities. His goal is to provide them all with information in their native language. Despite his best efforts, however, he sometimes needs a helping hand. His tablet translates questions and answers at top speed. When it comes to finding his own way around, Yoshi Karasawa has to know the station's routes like the back of his own hand.
Platform down and straight, and one more down, 2 down, the west gate outside, and then one more down, 3 down, yes, yes. Hi.
Service staff and advisors. In the world's busiest station, this is a calling that takes a lot of passion.
When a customer says thank you to me, that's my biggest reward. I feel like working even harder then.
Even experienced locals often place more faith in Yoshi Karasawa's specialist knowledge than their own sense of direction.
I want to go to Asakusa Station. Which way should I take?
Take the Chuo line on track 8 and step over at Kande Station.
Thank you.
Dutiful, friendly, efficient. Most people are familiar with these Japanese cliches. In Shinjuku Station, they are a reality.
Many people ask the service staff because it is so much easier than looking by yourself. They always know the best and fastest way.
And yet, be it with or without assistance, when passengers arrive on the platform, they expect to experience one thing above all else: punctuality. Just like at every other station in the world. The average delay for the station's largest train line, JR, is an incredible 0.4 minutes. If a train is delayed by 5 minutes or more, the conductor apologizes over the loudspeaker. Maximum courtesy guaranteed. Prompt and precise. A reputation that railway staff aren't willing to jeopardize any time in the future, either. Discipline means pride and honor, even for the newest employees. That's why they carefully repeat the most important rules of their job every single morning.
If there is a foreign-looking customer at the station, looking around and looking lost, how do you behave?
I will ask to see if I can help.
Newcomer Kota Ino's dream is to become a train driver one day. To get promoted to the cab, trainees have to graduate from a strict school and also learn what matters most: happy customers.
Okay, the seniors have the word now. Please, managers, continue.
A smile for our customers.
A smile for our customers.
Let's synchronize our watches. Okay, that's it. Let's go to work.
Kota Ino's job today is to supervise the platform. It's a job with a great deal of responsibility. The number one rule here is keep the tracks clear and the platform under control. And to do this, Kota Ino follows strict Japanese rules at all times.
Back at the train? Okay. Tracks? Okay.
A system that seems to work in Japan. Even Tokyo's largest railway company gets away with fewer than 200 accidents a year. The station's most important line alone invests over 1.8 billion euros a year in safety. The goal? To reduce the number of accidents involving passengers to zero in the future. It's an ambitious plan, and Kota Ino is proud to be a part of it.
In order to avoid mistakes, I use my fingers, so I'm much more aware. Time? Okay. Departure? Okay.
Kota Ino performs his duties to the fullest, regardless of whether there are 2 or 200 passengers on the platform.
One time a customer fell on the track. Luckily, I saw it. For situations like that, it is very helpful that I check everything carefully. That's why we have to be very strict with our procedures.
Accidents that don't involve passengers. Trains that don't run late. Absolute perfection. However, Kota Ino is not the only one fighting this battle. When it comes to safety, the world's busiest station also relies on an above-average number of surveillance cameras. And all their images are compiled here, in the station manager's control room. He and his team watch every second of what's going on in the station. As the station master, Hidehiko Moriyama bears more responsibility than most.
I manage the whole station. Therefore, I have to coordinate with all the other stations in the surrounding areas. As Shinjuku Station is a district station, I have to match up the schedule of all the other stations. My job consists of 3 main things. I have to make sure that everything is safe, that the trains are running on time, and that everybody of the 380 staff members of the station is working well together all year long.
One major problem. The area surrounding Shinjuku is also home to other stations, like Yoyogi Station, located a mere 800 meters away. Balancing out delays between there and here is an impossible feat. That's why the stations liaise closely to keep their schedules in sync. This allows them to keep both delays and accidents to a minimum, no matter what the circumstances.
We are checking for unusual things. For example, if a customer is injured or something suspicious is happening in the station area. If needed, we get all the information about it and act on it. Even if I am not here, they operate 24 hours in this room.
Hidehiko Moriyama and his team are the eyes and ears of the entire station. Despite the giant hub's vast size, cutting-edge technology allows them to keep an eye on everything from behind the scenes. Meanwhile, there's a lot going on inside the station itself. The shops are now especially busy. Sales are already in full swing. At peak times, around 200 customers visit every store. Japan's private railway companies use their property for a range of purposes. Above their stations, they build things like shopping centers, office blocks, travel agencies, and supermarkets. The whole area in and around Shinjuku Station is a money-making machine. To make sure everything runs as smoothly as possible, everything in the giant hub is tailored towards maximum customer friendliness. Passengers like Satoshi KUWANA can even pay using their train tickets. After all, this giant hub is a lot more than just a station. There is one name that most locals couldn't imagine Shinjuku without: Lunchbox Place, located directly en route to the platforms. Many travelers make a pit stop here before continuing their journeys. Things seem to be pretty peaceful for now. However, longtime employee HAZUKI Yamadera is well aware that this is just the calm before the storm.
Soon it will be very crowded because a popular train leaves. Then a lot of people will come. Therefore, we need many lunch boxes. We all have to work together in a team in order to manage the workload.
Every day, the kitchen worker prepares fish and vegetables just before the first throng of visitors is due to arrive. On a good day, 2,500 boxes pass over the counter here. The Japanese believe strongly in the importance of fresh food, even when they're traveling. Spices and oil are used sparingly. The intrinsic taste is what matters to customers. Passenger Satoshi Kuwana regularly picks up a lunchbox. This traditional Japanese bento box contains rice as the basic ingredient, plus various vegetable, meat, or fish toppings. Depending on what option you go for, each portion costs between 4 and 8 euros. Before Satoshi Kuwana reaches the platform area, he has to pass through one of the 104 fully automated control gates, which 3.6 million other travelers also pass through every day. At this moment, Shinjuku Station alone contains the same number of travelers as the total people who use the entire London Underground network in one day. And yet, there's not a single trace of chaos.
Everybody is lining up correctly. Right now we have the rush hour, but because everybody is following the rules and stands on the right line, it doesn't seem like it is very crowded.
That goes for every platform and every train, be it an overground or underground service. The most important tool for getting your bearings: floor markings. Every train stops at a precise point. Passengers wait patiently here, forming lines just out of the way from where the doors will open. Thanks to the Japanese tendency to follow rules, the flow of passengers remains constant. Passengers even get on and off the train at the same time. The doors open and close automatically within a set time window. With this system, it takes less than a minute for passengers to get in and out. And this is what allows the train to depart exactly on time, right down to the last second. This wasn't always the case. For a long time, Shinjuku Station was famous for their pushers, people who helped to preserve the schedule. Their job was to squash the last few passengers into the train carriage. There was no sign of the civilized boarding process in place today. Nowadays, the train staff on the platform look after the finer details. They keep watch over the platforms and always have a kind word for their passengers.
Welcome to Shinjuku Station. Thank you for traveling with us. Please don't leave anything behind.
Japanese travelers appreciate all their hard work. Around 80% of Tokyo's citizens use public transport. And there's another reason for this trend. Tokyo is vast and has almost no parking spaces. Its complex and heavily overloaded public transport network, therefore, has to work seamlessly at all times, no matter what the circumstances. And it has to do all this in a country where earthquakes are a common occurrence. Japan had to learn the hard way what happens when the public transport system literally collapses. The memories of tragedies like the Kobe earthquake in January 1995 are never likely to fade. The earthquake, which registered 7 on the Richter scale, paralyzed the entire infrastructure. Over 6,000 people lost their lives. In Tokyo, people live in constant fear of another major earthquake. According to the experts, there is a 70% chance of a quake of this magnitude occurring in the next 30 years. Were it to happen during rush hour, an incident like this could claim tens of thousands of lives. To make sure they are as prepared as possible, scientists are working on ways to eliminate weak points. At the Railway Technical Research Institute, Yoshitaka Morono and his team conduct research for giant hubs like Shinjuku Station. Their mission is to find the most effective ways for the infrastructure to withstand another earthquake.
Here we detect which structures will be damaged the most, and we offer that information to the stations. After the earthquake has happened, we have developed an information system that tells the train companies via internet within 5 to 10 minutes how big was the tremor in each area, so it gives them an idea how to react to it.
Employees at the Research Institute have been working hard for years to keep the effects of a disaster as small as possible. Using large-scale experiments, they find out how the track constructions will respond to quakes of varying severity. Their knowledge helps the railway companies to equip themselves for specific scenarios and increase the load capacity of their constructions. Sturdy columns and the best materials possible are designed to stop the country from collapsing, should worse come to worst. The Institute also provides all the country's stations with immediate updates on all tectonic movements. The stations suspend operations as soon as there is a threat of a dangerous earthquake.
It was a big success when we heard about the latest earthquakes in Kumamoto and Tohoku. There were no big damages in the main structures, and it was because of our calculations.
Shinjuku Station has also adjusted the mountings on its tracks to make sure it is equipped for any eventuality. Behind the scenes in the world's busiest station, employees put their all into making sure that traffic keeps flowing. Passengers like Satoshi Kuwana have come to rely on this. Anything that can be planned should run like clockwork, thanks to traditional Japanese discipline. One thing that cannot be planned, something referred to as passenger accidents. Japan has the highest suicide rate in the world, an average of 24,000 a year. According to the latest figures, 700 of these deaths occur in train stations alone. That means that, on average, there are almost 2 suicide attempts a day. From the perspective of a giant hub like Shinjuku Station, incidents like this don't just result in tragedy. They also mean delays, cancellations, chaos, and image problems. The only way to prevent something like this is to stay alert. As well as surveillance cameras, the station is also equipped with countless emergency call buttons. As a result, passengers and employees often spot people acting conspicuously in time, preventing the worst before it can happen. Another effective tool, placing barriers in front of the tracks. Be it intentionally or accidentally, no passenger will ever fall onto the rails with these in the way. The barriers only open when a train has come to a stop. And yet, despite all of these technical precautions, staff vigilance is always the most important weapon. To make sure all workers do their bit, longtime employees like Fumio Taguchi review newcomers on a regular basis. Rail staff at the giant hub are subject to strict checks around the clock.
I work at Seibu Railways since 35 years already, and I have been experiencing all the main jobs here, like station staff, office staff, and so on. The main concern in every position is always security. In order to make sure that all the customers get on the train safely, we check various security issues. For example, if there is something strange on the tracks. So every part of our job is important to keep the whole station safe.
Trainee Kota Ino has to be ready for a surprise visit from his higher-ranking colleague at any time.
Thank you for your hard work. Anything unusual to report?
No.
Are you following the instructions?
Yes.
Your uniform is okay as well. Well done.
Fumio Taguchi is happy with Kota Ino's work. His checks help to ensure that no employee deviates from the standardized procedures. Another typical feature of Japanese working culture. Rules are the most valuable asset. At this station, meticulous adherence to certain protocols is just one of the factors that guarantees that public transport remains on time and functional.
Was all okay?
Yes.
Okay, please drive to Kamishakuji.
Okay.
Anyone working for Japan's most famous station cannot afford to make any mistakes, especially when they deal with over 1 billion passengers a year.
During 1 hour, about 25 trains pass one track. So really, a lot of trains are coming in and out. In order to deliver a safe and balanced schedule in that kind of situation, it is necessary to do perfect work. I make sure of that because it is so important that the employees continue performing in a very precise way.
The station's minute-by-minute train schedule will only work if each cog is working perfectly. (8:14 a.m.) Passenger Satoshi Kuwana's train is also 100% on time. Travelers like him have no idea how much effort is put in behind the scenes. And that's exactly the way it should be. Trains and other transport services arrive at and depart from Shinjuku Station 21 hours a day. 20 past 7 is the day's last big rush. Trains are now spitting out up to 500 passengers every second. To tackle this volume, station staff work round the clock in 3 separate shifts. Directions, small-scale construction work, safety precautions. There is always something to do in all areas of the giant hub. Even though concentration often tends to drop off towards the end of a shift, the machinery of Shinjuku Station will not work properly unless each individual department gives it their all at all times. Just before 8, the day slowly draws to an end. And the party hotspot of the Shinjuku district really starts to buzz. The bright lights of the countless bars, clubs, and restaurants draw in tourists and visitors looking for a good night out. At almost any time of day or night, up to 1 million people are on the move in this neighborhood, which covers just 18 square kilometers. As a result, things are still bustling in the station too. Most of the shopping hubs close at around 10 p.m. Lunchbox employee HAZUKI Yamadera has just about survived the evening rush hour. Today, she sold 1,300 bento boxes. That's 7,000 euros of revenue in a single day.
When the customers are gone, I feel really relieved. It is very exhausting, but at the same time, I'm glad that everybody got a good meal for their journey.
While the day is almost over for some, another team is just about to start its shift. 170 members of the cleaning team are on duty around the clock. However, the most important part of their work happens at night. In typical Japanese style, the team boosts its motivation with a chant.
Be nice to colleagues and avoid disasters.
Be nice to colleagues and avoid disasters.
Thank you for today.
The cleaning squad works in small teams of up to 10 people. 31-year-old YOSHIMUNE Kobayashi has been doing the job for 7 years and is now a team leader. The team leaders split up the work between themselves and distribute jobs within their teams.
What is your schedule for today?
Today, we have a group of cleaners going to do the middle square and corridor.
Okay, I will meet you later.
The team is preparing for the moment when the final guest leaves the station. Then it's time to clean the windows and platforms. Even the last piece of chewing gum stuck to the floor has to go. The giant hub gets a thorough cleaning every single day.
Between the last train in the evening and the first train in the morning, we only have 3 hours, so we need to work high speed.
1:23 in the morning. The doors to the world's busiest station are closing. It's time to go. When the trains have stopped rolling into the station, the platforms look a bit like ghost towns. The surveillance cameras stop recording the crowds of passengers. It's time to start work on all the jobs that the public never notices. For Yoshimune Kobayashi, the night begins with one of his favorite jobs. Recently, the cleaning squad gained a new member to help them clean the huge station area. A brand new robotic cleaner. The robot has saved the station's entire floor plan and works autonomously.
In order to always have the newest cleaning system, we have imported this machine. It's the only one of its kind in the whole country. We are very proud of it, and it is my best friend.
Really? Who wouldn't want a robotic cleaner as their best friend? At night, everything happens at the same time. The teams work against the clock. After all, the window in which there are no passengers or trains on the tracks is a mere 3 hours long. Repairs and work on the tracks must not disrupt train, subway, or bus operations under any circumstances. This would cause too much chaos. So before the first guest arrives back at the giant hub in the morning, any sign of construction work disappears completely. It's as if nothing had happened. At the same time, Yoshimune Kobayashi and his team are adding the finishing touches. Their job today was to clean 10 platforms, several kilometers of corridor, and masses of windows. By the time he and his team head home, every last speck of dirt must be gone. Yoshimune Kobayashi is proud to have done his part to ensure yet another successful day at the world's busiest station.
I had a very good day. The station is very clean, so tomorrow the passengers can come again. That makes me happy.
The day has come to an end, and the rail staff are already waiting for the next few minutes to roll by before the doors go up, and everything starts all over again. The world's busiest station handles 3.6 million passengers a day. The only thing keeping it running is a perfectly coordinated logistics strategy, a complex system of directions, hundreds of service staff. In the station itself, hundreds of stores and lunchboxes keep the crowd smiling. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, hundreds of surveillance cameras watch over every centimeter of the station. And strictly trained staff prevent accidents and catastrophes with the utmost discipline. They share a common goal: perfectly timed trains arriving on a second-by-second basis in Shinjuku Station.